The traditional Passover Seder consists of 4 cups. And these 4 cups are part of the telling of our journey out of the bondage of sin and into the kingdom of heaven.
Where do we see the 4 cups in Scripture?
The 4 cups are derived from the wedding language we find in the 4 I wills, in which our Father takes his bride and ultimately brings her into his land. As it is written,
Say, therefore, to the sons of Israel, I am Adonai, and I will bring you out from under the hard labors of the Egyptians. And I will deliver you from their slavery. I will also redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. Then I will take you for my people, and I will be your Elohim. And you shall know that I am Adonai, your Elohim, who brought you out from under the hard labors of the Egyptians. And I will bring you to the land which I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you for a possession.
I am Adonai. And thus we read about the 4 cups.
First, I will bring you out.
Yatzel, the cup of sanctification, or Kiddush.
I will rescue you.
That's all the cup of deliverance.
I will redeem you.
Gabal,
The cup of redemption.
I will take you as my people.
Lakat.
The cup of praise or acceptance.
But did we not hear 5 I wills?
Indeed, I will bring you to the land. It's the cup of Elijah, for the prophet Elijah brings with him the Messiah, son of David, and the Messiah brings us to the kingdom. From the prophet Elijah brings with him the Messiah, son of David, and the Messiah brings us to the kingdom.
All right, we're getting ready to do our Torah reading. Once again, here are the Aliyot. It's from chapter 10, verse 1 of the book of Exodus, or Shemot, to chapter 13, verse 16. If you join for the blessing before the reading, begin with open my eyes. Open my eyes so I will see wonders from your Torah. I am a ger on the earth, hide not your mitzvot from me. Bless Adonai, who is to be praised. Blessed be Adonai, who is praised for all eternity. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bakar banu makol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Blessed are you, Adonai, our Elohim, King of the universe, who has chosen us from all peoples and given us his Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah. Amen. All right, so here is the first verse. And the title of the verse comes from, count from right to left, 1, 2, 3-4, 5. That's the word bow, and that's where the Torah portion is titled from. So I'd like to read along with me if you'd like, where it says YHWH. I'll just be spelling it out, Yud-He, Vav-He. Vayomer Yud-He Vav-He el Moshe bo el Paro ki ani hiperete et libo ve'et le'ev adain leman sheti ototai ele bachir bo. Or in English, something like, Adonai said to Moses, go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his servants hard-hearted, so that I can demonstrate these signs of mine among them. So that was the first verse. I'll start reading here now again at verse 2. So that you can tell your son and grandson about what I did to Egypt and about my signs, but I demonstrated among them, and so that you will all know that I am Adonai. Moshe and Aaron went into Pharaoh and said to him, here's what Adonai, God of the Hebrews, says. How much longer will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go so they can worship me. Otherwise, if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I'll bring locusts into your territory. One won't be able to see the ground, so completely will the locusts cover it. It'll eat everything you still have that escaped the hail, including every tree you have growing in the field. They will fill your houses and those of your servants and all the Egyptians. It will be like nothing your fathers or their fathers have ever seen since the day they were born until today. Then he turned his back and left. Pharaoh's servant said to him, how much longer must this fellow be a snare for us? Let the people go and worship Adonai their God. Don't you understand yet that Egypt is being destroyed? So Moshe and Aaron were brought to Pharaoh again, and he said to them, go worship Adonai your God. But who exactly is going? Moshe answered, we will go with our young and our old, our sons and our daughters. We will go with our flocks and our herds, for we must celebrate a feast to Adonai. Pharaoh said to them, Adonai certainly will be with you if I ever let you go with your children. It's clear that you are up to no good. Nothing doing. Just the men among you may go and worship Adonai. That's what you want, isn't it? And they were driven out of Pharaoh's presence.
Yahweh then said to Moses, stretch out your hand over Egypt for the locust. Let them invade Egypt and devour whatever is growing in the country, whatever the hail has left. Moses stretched his staff over Egypt and over the country. Yahweh sent an east wind which blew all that day and night. By morning the east wind had brought the locust. The locust invaded the whole of Egypt and settled all over Egypt in great swarms. Never had there been so many locusts before, nor would there be again. They covered the surface of the ground till the land was devastated. They devoured whatever was growing in the fields and all the fruit on the trees that the hail had left. No green was left on tree or plant in the field or anywhere in Egypt. Pharaoh sent urgently for Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against Yahweh your God and against you. Now forgive my sin, I implore you. Just this once, and entreat Yahweh your God to turn this deadly thing away from me. When Moses left Pharaoh's presence, he prayed to Yahweh, and Yahweh changed the wind into a west wind, very strong, which carried the locusts away and swept them into the sea of reeds. There was not one locust left in the whole of Egypt. But Yahweh made Pharaoh stubborn, and he did not let the Israelites go. Yahweh then said to Moses, stretch out your hand towards heaven, and let darkness so thick that it can be felt over Egypt. So Moses stretched out his hand toward heaven, and for 3 days there was thick darkness over the whole of Egypt. No one could see anyone else or move about for 3 days. But all the Israelites did have light, they were living. Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Go and worship Yahweh. But your flocks and herds are to stay here. Your wives and children can go with you too." Moses said, "But now you must give us sacrifices and burnt offerings to offer to Yahweh our God. And our livestock will go with us too. Not a hoof will be left behind. For we may need animals from these to worship Yahweh our God. For until we get there, we ourselves cannot tell how we are to worship Yahweh." But Yahweh made Pharaoh stubborn, and he refused to let them go. Pharaoh said to Moses, "Out of my sight, be sure you never see my face again. For the next time you see my face, you die." Moses then said, "You yourself have said it. I shall never see your face again." Yahweh then said to Moses, "I shall inflict one more plague on Pharaoh and Egypt, after which he will let you go away. When he lets you go, he will actually drive you out. Now instruct the people that every man is to ask his neighbor, every woman hers, for silver and golden jewelry." And Yahweh made the Egyptians impressed with the people, while Moses himself was a man of great importance in Egypt, in the opinion of Pharaoh's officials and the people.
So Moshe said, "Thus saith the Lord, about midnight I will go out in the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne, even to the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle. There shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there has never been, nor ever will be again. But not a dog shall growl against any of the people of Israel, either man or beast, that you may know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. And all your servants shall come down to me and bow down to me, saying, Get out, you and all the people who follow you, and after that I will go out." And he went out from Pharaoh in hot anger. Then the Lord said to Moshe, "Pharaoh will not listen to you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt." Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the people of Israel go out of his land. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall be for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Tell all the congregation of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, every man shall take a lamb according to their father's house, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for a lamb, then he and his nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of persons. According to what each can eat, you shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, when the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill their lambs at twilight. Then they shall make some of the blood Then they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and the lintel of the houses in which they eat it. They shall eat the flesh that night, roasted on the fire. With unleavened bread and bitter herbs they shall eat it. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roasted, its head with its legs and its inner parts. And you shall let none of it remain until the morning. Anything that remains until the morning you shall burn. In this manner you shall eat it, with your belt fastened, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover, for I will pass through the land of Egypt that night, and I will strike all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And on all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I am the Lord. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. This day shall be for you a memorial day, and you shall keep it as a feast to the Lord. Throughout your generations, as a statute forever, you shall keep it as a feast. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove leaven out of your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened from that first day until the seventh day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall hold a holy assembly, and on the seventh day a holy assembly. No work shall be done on those days, but what everyone needs to eat, that alone may be prepared by you. You shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For on this very day, I brought your hosts out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day throughout your generations as a statute forever. In the first month, from the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. For 7 days no leaven is to be found in your houses. If anyone eats what is leavened, that person will be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he is a sojourner or a native of the land. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all of your dwelling places you shall eat unleavened bread.
Then Moses called for the elders of Israel and said to them, Pick out and take lambs for yourselves according to your families, and kill the Passover lamb. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of his house until morning. For the Lord will pass through to strike the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood on the lintel and on the 2 doorposts, the Lord will pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses and strike you. And you shall observe this thing as an ordinance for all of your sons forever. It shall come to pass that when you come to the land which the Lord has given you, just as he has promised, that you shall keep this service. And it shall be, when your children say unto you, What do you mean by the service? That you shall say, It is the Passover sacrifice of the Lord, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he struck the Egyptians and delivered our households. So the people bowed their heads and worshipped. Then the children of Israel went away and did so, just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. And it came to pass at midnight, that the Lord struck all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat in his throne, to the firstborn of the captive, who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. So Pharaoh rose in the night, he and his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not one house where there was not one dead. Then he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, Rise, go out from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as you have said. Take your flocks, your herds, as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians urged the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We shall all be dead. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, having their kneading bowls bound up on their clothes, on their shoulders. Now the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, and they had asked the Egyptians articles of silver, of gold, and clothing. And the Lord had given people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they granted them what they requested. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. Then the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, and about 600,000 men on foot besides children. A mixed multitude went up with them also, and flocks and herds, a great deal of livestock. And they baked unleavened bread, unleavened cakes of the dough, which they had brought out of Egypt. For it was not leavened, because they were driven out of Egypt, and could not wait, nor had they prepared provisions for themselves. Now the sojourn of the children of Israel who lived in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, on the very same day, it came to pass that all the armies of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night of solemn observance to the Lord. My apologies. This is the night of the Lord, solemn observance for all the children of Israel throughout the generations. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat it. But every man's servant who is brought for money, when you have circumcised him, then he may eat it. A sojourner and a hired servant shall not eat it. In one house it shall be eaten. You shall not carry any of the flesh outside the house, nor shall you break one of the bones. And all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger dwells with you and wants to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and let him then come near and keep it. And he shall be as a native in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat it. One law shall be for the native born, and for the stranger who dwells among them. Thus all the children of Israel did, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. And it came to pass on the very same day that the Lord brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, according to their armies.
Adonai said to Moshe, set aside for me all the firstborn, whoever is first from the womb among the people of Israel, both of human and of animals belong to me. Moshe said to the people, remember this day, on it you left Egypt and the abode of slavery, because Adonai, by the strength of his hand, has brought you out of this place. Do not eat Hamaz, leaven. You are leaving today in the month of Aviv. Then Adonai brings you to the land of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Hivite, I hate the names. You speak?
Yeah, we see.
I knew I was going to get all the names. And he swore to your ancestors to give you a land flowing of milk and honey. You are to observe this ceremony in this month. For 7 days you are to eat matzah, and on the 7th day is to be a festival for Adonai. Matzah is to be eaten throughout the 7 days. Neither leaven nor leavening agents are to be seen with you throughout your territory. On that day you are to tell your son, it is because of what Adonai did for me when I left Egypt. Moreover, it shall serve to you as a sign on your hand, as a reminder between your eyes, so that Adonai's Torah may be on your lips. Because with a strong hand Adonai brought you out of Egypt. Therefore you are to observe this regulation in its proper time, year after year. When Adonai brings you to the land of Canaan, as he swore to you and your ancestors, and gives it to you, you are to set apart for Adonai everything that is first from the womb. Every firstborn male animal will belong to Adonai. Every firstborn from a donkey you are to redeem with a lamb. But if you choose not to redeem it, you must break its neck. But from people you are to redeem every firstborn son. When at some future time your son asks you, what is this? Then say to him, with a strong hand Adonai brought us out of Egypt, out of the abode of slavery. When Pharaoh was unwilling to let us go, Adonai killed all the firstborn males in the land of Egypt, both firstborn of human and firstborn of animals. This is why I sacrifice to Adonai any male that is firstborn from the womb of an animal, but all of the firstborn of my sons I redeemed. This I shall serve as a sign on your hand and at the front of your foreband, around your forehead, that with a strong hand Adonai brought us out of Egypt.
Maftir. When at some future time your son asks you, what is this? Then you say to him, with a strong hand Adonai brought us out of Egypt, out of the abode of slavery. When Pharaoh was unwilling to let us go, Adonai killed all the firstborn males of the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of humans and the firstborn of animals. This is why I sacrifice Adonai any male that is first from the womb of an animal, but all the firstborn of my sons I redeem. This will serve as a sign on your hand and in the front of a headband around your forehead, that with a strong hand Adonai brought us out of Egypt. So we join me for the blessing after the reading. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chei olam nata b'tocheinu. Blessed are you, Adonai, our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us the Torah of truth and has planted everlasting life in our midst. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah. Well, shalom, everybody. We're get ready to start Midrash on Torah portion Bo. But before we do that, we have enjoyed some food. So the scripture tells us, "So you'll eat and be satisfied, and you'll bless Adonai your God for the good land He has given these." We thank you for the land. It's in Yeshua's name that we thank you. Amen. We are again in Torah portion Bo. And so a frequent question we ask at the beginning of our studies of portions is, according to the numbers, if you will, or most sources in this case, how many mitzvot are in this portion? Is it A, 66, B, 33, C, 25, or D, 20?
No, I guess 20.
Jim guesses 20. Earl guesses B, 33. All right. Well, the correct answer is, ta-da, it in fact is 20.
God.
Jim's doing a little dance here, a virtue dance. Just kidding. So let's take a look at some of the mitzvot in the portion. Starting in chapter 12 is where the mitzvot begins. Earl says that Jim's always right, so he
I agree.
he concurs. So, chapter 12, verse 2 is the Torah of Rosh Chodesh, or new moon. Most of the mitzvot in this portion are regarding or concerned with the Passover, the Torah of the slaughter of the Pesach. So, just as a point of note, clarification perhaps, the word Pesach, it really isn't referring to, well, it's not directly referring to the day or the ceremony. It's referring to the animal itself. The Pesach is the lamb. Certainly there are, when you think of Pesach as a day, it's the day of the Pesach offering. But the Pesach we're talking about is literally, it's the lamb. So it's the Pesach slaughter, Pesach eating the Pesach lamb, how not to, essentially how not to cook it. You don't eat it boiled or raw. You don't allow the meat to wait until morning.
Don't fry it in Crisco.
I'll interrupt this to say that it's got a message from Heather. We met at Sukkot. Heather is looking for a new job. She's actually applying for a job right now at Hobby Lobby. That's good. You're to hold a set apart convocation on Hag HaMatzot, feats of unleavened You are to rest on the seventh day of Hag Hamatzot, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Parenthetically, you're not supposed to work on either the first or the seventh day of Hag Hamatzot, unleavened bread. And an uncircumcised male is not to eat the Pesach offering. There are temple requirements listed by Ezekiel for a property built yet. It's also been discusses that people going into it must be circumcised in both body and flesh. So during the readings today, we saw that we are to celebrate Passover as a perpetual statute. But here's the question I'm going to pose to you. It's a little bit different than that. Is, are we eating the Pesach offering during a Passover or Pesach celebration here in Latin America? That answer is no. We are not eating the Pesach offering. There, as one of the men at prison pointed out last night, he said he has read sources discussing having a Passover Seder service at a congregation, that the discussion or statement was kind of as a subtext was that we're having lamb, our Seder, but this lamb isn't the Passover. It's not the Pesach. It wasn't slaughtered appropriately at the appropriate location. It's not slaughtered in Jerusalem, so to speak, at this point. And that is true in that, I've seen that myself. Congregations that have served lamb have pointed out that this is like the Passover in that it's the right kind of animal, but it's not the actual Passover itself. A lot of congregations, when they serve meals, Passover meals, will not serve lamb just to make sure that no one thinks that they are serving the Passover. That's why beef brisket is one of the most popular congregational Passover meals. We've known, well, at least a couple of people that have truly believed that they were supposed to do the Passover slaughter themselves. One was a guy at the time was in California, and another was in Texas. That proposed, that said, really thought they should be doing and did slaughter lambs, and thought that we were doing the right thing by calling it a Passover offering.
I'm going to question. We can do the service part of it and still not call it, we're not actually doing the Passover, we're celebrating, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
We're getting as close as we can. So why then can you not kill an animal and just say, we're not doing the real sacrifice, we're just getting as close as we can?
You could.
Okay.
I mean, in Israel, that's what has frequently been done with the Temple Mount faithful. They have slaughtered a lamb at the cornerstone that was set for where the temple would be, or at least where the cornerstone was located, trying to get as close as possible to.
Are we supposed to be doing that? Not in Jerusalem.
Well, they're in Jerusalem. Temple Mount faithful is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on us.
Oh,
Can we do that and say we're getting as close as we can and still not be violating? Hey, we do that there.
Well, it would be considered a rehearsal. Same thing goes for the other rehearsals we do for the festivals. I mean, Sukkot is the same thing. there are offerings that are supposed to be done during Sukkot that we're not bringing. We're doing something to celebrate, but it's not
Then I told,
the
I
actual.
hear a lot of people say, well, who told you you gotta celebrate? If you can't do it, if God cut it off, then you cut it off.
That is a commonly raised question. You could ask a follow-up question, as asking, following up questions with questions, is when the temple was destroyed, when the first temple, when David's temple, or really Solomon's temple rather, was destroyed, they were not able to celebrate or to actually have a Passover offering then either. Was it some, well, why did they start it again afterwards? Because they're following the instructions.
Well, is it, they're supposed to do it in the temple or in the land?
It's at
In Jerusalem?
the place he sets, the place of his choosing.
Place meaning,
Mhm. Well,
not necessarily the temple.
it's been at the tabernacle or the temple where they're doing it. And it looks like they did it at the tabernacle during the Passover in the wilderness. There was only that one Passover they celebrated in the wilderness.
So they set up ovens in the temple and to handle the masses of sacrifices.
Not ovens, they didn't cook it there.
Well, however they did it.
They slaughtered them there, but then they cooked it at their
Okay,
tent site.
okay. Sorry.
No, that's,
I can see where a lot of things, not necessarily that, people do, thinking they're doing God's will, when you can almost say, no, they're not, they're making kind of a mockery of it.
yeah, well, I've seen the the question might be, well, for eating the Passover, you're not to let it remain to the next day. So it would be, and Facebook comment, we got to eat lamb the first day. We don't leave nothing for the next day. In other words, you don't leave that meat over for the next day. As a comment here. So that is true in that as a rehearsal, you could not eat the meat afterwards, as a, if you will, a rehearsal, particularly I guess if it's lamb. But again, the meat that we're eating in outside of the land, outside of a functioning tabernacle, is
Not the real Passover.
is not the real Passover, because the Passover, remember, is the lamb itself. And if you can't bring the lamb to the tabernacle or to the temple, it is a celebration of it. And just like we celebrate a lot of things that can't be done currently without a functioning altar or priesthood, something that can be, you can get as close to it as possible.
Remember who even said to do that?
Yeah, there's no commandment to do that. That is correct. I think that there is a command. Certainly, there's a command to not eat leavened bread during that
But
week.
those usually are qualified by saying wherever you live.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I don't know if we saw that particular phraseology. We did see the command to chapter 12, verse 14. This will be a day for you to remember and to celebrate as a festival to Adonai.
from generation to generation, you are to celebrate it by a perpetual regulation. So it does seem that it is perpetually something that we are to celebrate.
But isn't that one of the feasts you're supposed to go to Jerusalem?
Well, it's where you bring your lamb to the place where you set. Yes. Mhm. Well, Passover is not technically a pilgrimage feast, but Hag HaMatzah
Well, it's
is.
right
So
there.
yeah,
You're gonna be there for
can't. Yeah, you've got to be there for the previous night. Be there for the whole thing. Yeah. And you have to get there on Passover so that you're not basically working on Hag HaMatzah.
I'm not saying celebrating something and saying, oh, this isn't the real thing we're celebrating isn't bad,
Mhm.
but I think it can morph into something bad. You start putting your own little traditions with it over centuries.
Mhm.
I guess how I would ask it is, okay, would it be a sin not to do it? If you couldn't, if there was no temple, you couldn't go to Jerusalem, would it be a sin not to do it?
Well, it says this will be a day for you to celebrate as a festival to Adonai for generation to generation, as you celebrate it by perpetual regulation. There's not a location given in that particular statement.
No, but we know later it was changed from the first one wasn't in the Holy Land at Jerusalem.
Right.
So later it was changed to it's got to be done here. The killing of it is supposed to be done there, and the eating of it.
Well, because if things are going right, it's all going together in the sense that everyone is going to Jerusalem or wherever the tabernacle is set up.
Yeah, they're going to be there.
They're going to be there, so it's not really. It's in the wilderness. It wasn't an issue. When they got into the land, then it was a long walk from Galilee, for example, down to Jerusalem. But it seems that just by the statement that you're to celebrate it for generation to generation, doesn't say wherever you are, but as long as there are generations, it seems like you're to celebrate it.
As long as there's the place you're supposed to celebrate. It doesn't have to say that, a location right there. It's already given the rules. But now we can't follow those rules.
Well, we can follow part of it. I mean, we certainly can avoid leaven, and we can eat unleavened and avoid leaven. That doesn't matter where you are. I think you can keep the unleavened bread part of it, even if the Passover can't be slaughtered in accordance with the regulation.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't, you can. That shows solidarity, maybe even with them. But if you don't, it don't sound like you're sinning. You're not breaking a command.
Well, it is in chapter 12, verse 14. This will be a day for you to remember and to celebrate. So if you don't remember the day or celebrate the day, then it does seem like it's violating what he said to do.
Celebrating means doing it according to the rules, the way that he set up to do it, to celebrate it.
I would say that would be the difference between keeping it and celebrating it. You can't keep it, but you can celebrate it.
Okay. In my mind, they're the same. You keep it by celebrating. But
well, what we do with the remembrance of it is we remember. That's what the Seder and the Haggadah helps us. The Haggadah is the telling. The Haggadah helps us to keep the command of part of this says this would be a day for you to remember, and that brings it to mind what happened on that, and that is part of the mitzvah, I think, of keeping it. Facebook comment says, we can retell the story to keep the memory fresh so that each generation knows the story. Someday there will be a temple. But I agree with you, that is a commonly held as a point of, I guess, I don't know how to, another way to say it, but maybe Christian triumphalism, saying, look, we have abolished your festivals.
Yeah, that's not where I'm coming from.
No, I'm not saying you're coming from that. I'm saying I've heard that idea more than
But,
once.
getting as close as you can to celebrating it. Okay?
To keeping it. Again, I'm
To
gonna.
keeping it.
Mhm.
Then why do we let uncircumcised men come in and keep it with us? We could get a little closer to the real thing by not letting them.
We could, but
So where do we draw that line?
well, what is if you don't allow uncircumcised people into the Lawton congregation, you're not allowing them to keep the mitzvah to remember it.
I'm
And
not putting a location with it anywhere in the world.
anywhere in the world, if you don't allow them to come into a Passover service in which there is, again, a celebration of Passover, not the actual Passover.
But I'm talking about getting as close as you can to doing the real thing as if you were in the land.
Well, true, even that you could say that, but by what is the greater weight, to get as close as you can to doing it, or to allow someone else to keep a mitzvah to remember it?
I would say go as close as you can to doing it.
I would say to help someone else keep the mitzvah to remember it, because you know that you're not keeping it anyway.
What about remembering that you're supposed to be circumcised?
We read it. It's in the Haggadah.
But you don't have to do it.
We don't have a checker. I'm not going to bring a checker in to do that. You're not actually keeping the Passover.
Okay, so we don't have to do it no matter what.
Don't do what?
We don't have to follow all the rules that were set down for it.
We can't follow all the rules that are set
Right,
down for
but
us.
we can that.
We could, but then we would keep people out who aren't circumcised, that can't
There
keep the
be
mitzvah
people out there in the land who aren't circumcised.
in the land.
So why can't we do something in the land or out here that we can't do in the land, and vice versa? If we're indeed trying to get as close as we can to walking it out. Just thoughts.
So these were the plagues from Torah portion Va'era and Torah portion Bo. Sorry, I missed Earl's comment. And in the kingdom, when we bring the Passover lamb in, we will look up at Messiah, the Passover lamb, and remember what he did right. So these are a smattering of the deities. It's kind of hard to read on the screen, just too small print there. And I'm not 100% certain that the listing of these deities were the ones chosen to be mocked. We do know that Egypt's deities were mocked, and they had a lot of them to mock. As I say, the little note down the bottom, there are other formulations of this list, as the Torah does not name the gods being humbled or mocked. So here are a couple of the ones we're looking at here from the first plague. So the Egyptian deities and their symbols. Here's one for frogs. Gnats, deity of order, harmony, and balance. Arov, swarms. They're profane deities. This one is often depicted with his male organ protruding. Cattle blight. Boils. Hail. Sometimes depicted as chaos or as a cow in these two different examples. Locusts. Darkness. And death of the firstborn. So darkness also comes in. We see it as a future event as well. Darkness and locust, kind of a different order of events in Revelation chapter 9. So how will Israel leave Egypt? How will Israel leave Mitzrayim? One of the things that we can see is that just the words, we've kind of talked about this before, but it's not just, the letting go versus driving you out. It really is intensification. So in this first one, it's a let you go. It's an intensification. When it's these cases of letting go in Shemot 11:1. Yishalach is a intensification of to send, so you're being sent, intensify, being sent or pushed out. Because Shalko, when he sends you out, when he lets you go, so to speak, it's the same root word, shalach, and being driven out altogether is altogether is the kala, and then yagresh, and you see it, Geresh, Yagresh, the repetition of the words indicating that you're being really driven out. And again, the kala in there altogether. So it's intensification in the verb forms or intensification by repetition. And so Israel will be driven out when they leave, or when we leave, because we see it. We saw at the end of at the end of our reading, it said essentially, on that day you tell your son is because of what Adonai did for me when I left Egypt. That's in 13 verse 9, which would you could transpose that, or not transpose. You could add yourself to that, me. So we say, on that day you're to tell your son is because of what Adonai did for me, Wayne, when I left Egypt. Or put your own name in that sentence. Here's how Art Scroll looks at it. Art Scroll commentary kind of looks at it as asking kind of these questions of how will Israel leave Egypt? It says they will not simply be allowed to leave, they will be forcibly sent out. They'll be completely sent out from Egypt. I want to highlight, that that Israel is being called the people frequently. Speak now in the hearing of the people. And I've shown this before. We've talked about this before, but there are a lot of different people in different languages that have called themselves the people in their own language. These are all, of course, taken from Native American groups. So my comment there at the side is Ha'am, the people, is a very tribal designation. The people. So the Targums are always interesting to take a look at. In the synagogues of the ancient times, Aramaic Targums are read alternately with the Torah and prophets, verse by verse, so people would understand what was meant by the Hebrew text. So we could do that. We can emulate that. We actually do it more. That we Targum more than they did, in the sense that we typically read a very little Hebrew and all in English, so that people understand what's being said. So here's an interesting way that it's like it's a little bit, the screen's a little bit off, looks like, but the phraseology, in other words, it has Yud Vav Yud is how the Targum Onkelos depicts the divine name. It says, yet one plague I will bring upon Pharaoh and upon Mitzrayim, after which he will send you a hence. When sending away, he will thoroughly driving will drive you. So you can see that's clearly, when you look at the underlying Aramaic, it's a repetition of that. And in the Targum of 11 verse 4, about midnight I'm going out into the midst of Mitzrayim. The Targum reads similarly. It says, at the dividing of the night I'll be revealed in the midst of Mitzrayim. And the words there for revealed are very much of a Semitic context. Gilyana, revelation, is in Aramaic, and Galut is the Hebrew of that for Revelation, the book of Revelation. So there is a revealing that will be done. You can see that Mitgale, the Hebrew of the phrase will be revealed, is related. You can see the similarity with Gilyana, which is the Aramaic text, and Het Galut, which is the Hebrew name for the book of Revelation. You can see that there is some some overlap there. So the 10th plague, this is how Targum Jonathan discusses the 10th plague. It's, if you will, the Targum adds to the text so that the reader understands what is being said here. It doesn't hold things back. And it was in the dividing of the night of the 15th that the word of Yud, again, this Targum Jonathan versus Onklos, they use substitutes for the divine name, but different ones, slew all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh, who would have sat upon the throne of his kingdom, to the firstborn sons of the kings who were captives in the dungeon as hostages under Pharaoh's hand, and who, for having rejoiced at the servitude of Israel, were punished as the Egyptians, Mitzrahi. And all the firstborn of the cattle that did the work of the Mitzrahi died also. So one of the criticisms that I've read about the Jeremiah prophecy that we read is that it says that Pharaoh and the kings were were going to be beaten by Nebuchadnezzar. So what the Targum points out, that there were not in there, what the criticism is that, well, Egypt has only had one king, Pharaoh. So this is obviously something wrong here. Well, when you see that, this says the firstborn sons of the kings were held captives in Pharaoh's dungeon, and they rejoiced against Israel. So perhaps that's the same sort of thing going on, years later after Exodus has occurred, with the prophecy of Jeremiah, talking about pharaohs and their kings, or his kings, these are the same perhaps groups of people that were rejoicing at Israel's demise, and there still may have been kings in Egypt that were also being rejoicing, but there were also kings that were not necessarily Egyptian kings, but still were kings in Pharaoh's house, so to speak. Anyway, the mixed multitude, the Erev Rav, as it's in the Hebrew text, Erev Rav, it has two parts to it. There's never a time afterwards that the mixed multitude is called Egyptians or something else. They're a mixed multitude who left with them. They weren't necessarily Israelites, and they left Egypt along with with everybody else leaving. And so they're welcomed, or at least allowed to do so, but they didn't always bring Israel a lot of joy because of, for example, the incident of the quails that caused a lot of death among Israelites, because it was the mixed multitude who were essentially rebelling or egging on or causing grumbling within the ranks. The leading grumblers were from the mixed multitude. This is what I was reading earlier from verse 8. On that day you will tell your son, is because of what Adonai did for me when I left Egypt. So in 13, verse 9, the next verse after this, more of it will serve you as a sign on your hand, as a reminder in your eyes, so that Adonai's Torah may be on your lips, because with a strong hand Adonai brought you out of Egypt. So in what way will the Exodus, or leaving Egypt, be a sign in the manner described there? This certainly reminds me of tefillin would be the clear physical reminder here. The idea of it is so that the Torah is on your lips, in your thoughts, in your mouth, so to speak. Here's how the Chabad Chumash discusses that. It says, the next shall then be a sign for you to wear the single compartment tefillin on your left arm, and a reminder when you wear the multiple compartment tefillin on your forehead above the point exact between your eyes, so the Torah of God will be on your lips. For with a mighty hand God brought you out of Egypt. I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, that is again for the Chabad Chumash. I do see the certain connection between that, but it doesn't necessarily say that when you wear the tefillin, you are remembering the Exodus per se. But I can see how you could draw that out. Here's kind of an example of somebody wearing tefillin and reading, and perhaps from Hikalut, which says, then I looked, and there was a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him were 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. So I guess it depends on which particular verses you have in your tefillin that would fulfill that, if that's the case. Well, Dixie wants to know, what are your questions? That's not what she wants to know. She wants to know why you're bothering her. She's trying to sleep. All right. Let's go ahead and close that. I would thank you for allowing us to discuss your word. I would thank you for the blessings that you give us. I would thank you for the many wisdom or the many insights you've given and the wisdom you've imparted. We thank you in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen and amen.
The traditional Passover Seder consists of 4 cups. And these 4 cups are part of the telling of our journey out of the bondage of sin and into the kingdom of heaven.
Where do we see the 4 cups in Scripture?
The 4 cups are derived from the wedding language we find in the 4 I wills, in which our Father takes his bride and ultimately brings her into his land. As it is written,
Say, therefore, to the sons of Israel, I am Adonai, and I will bring you out from under the hard labors of the Egyptians. And I will deliver you from their slavery. I will also redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. Then I will take you for my people, and I will be your Elohim. And you shall know that I am Adonai, your Elohim, who brought you out from under the hard labors of the Egyptians. And I will bring you to the land which I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you for a possession.
I am Adonai. And thus we read about the 4 cups.
First, I will bring you out.
Yatzel, the cup of sanctification, or Kiddush.
I will rescue you.
That's all, the cup of deliverance.
I will redeem you.
Gabal,
The cup of redemption.
I will take you as my people.
Lakaf,
The cup of praise or acceptance.
But did we not hear 5? I will